Hello, my guys, and welcome back to the channel. I hope that you're doing great. I am doing great. I just have something I want to talk about because I'm genuinely worried about the future of gaming because it feels like we're watching an industry that we all love slowly unravel because it's overtaken by greed and bad practices. Right? I don't have to talk about the last days and what's going on. I mean, I feel like since years that something's off, but gaming is no longer about passion. This is what I feel like. It's not about innovation or creating experiences that unite players like back in the day, like having or forming a community. It is about squeezing every last cent out of players while offering the bare minimum in return. And honestly, this is completely heartbreaking. And this brings me to why I'm making this video, because I feel like gaming is on a steep decline and Call of Duty is the perfect example of how far things have fallen. Right? A franchise that once stood as a beacon of gaming excellence is now just a cash cow milked dry every single year with recycled content, pay-to-win mechanics, and systems designed to exploit players, not to entertain them. And seriously, think about it. Gaming today feels like it's on life support. Microtransactions, battle passes, fear of missing out, including cosmetics, and paywalls have taken over since years. And Call of Duty, a series that used to innovate and lead the industry, now symbolizes everything wrong with modern gaming. Remember the golden era of Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, or World at War? Like, back then, you bought the game and you got the full experience. No predatory monetization schemes, no corporate gaslighting, no constant grind for overpriced skins. Those games respected you as a player. But now? It's all about retention, about protecting the core player base that keeps the money flowing. The protective bubble Activision has built around these players ensures they stay happy, oblivious to the garbage server infrastructure, broken matchmaking, or blatant lies that Activision spins on social media. So why fix servers when the average gamer doesn't notice or even care about it? Why innovate when copy-pasting old maps and calling them new content is cheaper? And why be transparent with the community when you can just gaslight them and count the profits? And I'm not just here to rant about Call of Duty, I'm here to raise the alarm. This isn't just about one franchise, it's about the state of gaming as a whole. Because if we as players don't start holding companies accountable, this is what the future of gaming looks like, and it already looks like this in many games. A future where creativity and community die, and all that's left is a soulless grind designed to exploit your wallet. So let's dive in and take a closer look at how Call of Duty, a franchise that once defined an entire era, became the poster child for everything wrong with modern gaming. Because if we don't talk about this now, I fear it's only going to get worse. First, we have to talk about who keeps Call of Duty alive. And you guessed it, it's the average gamer, because they're the lifeblood of Call of Duty, right? The backbone of the community. And the stats speak for themselves. For example, in the US, the average gamer is around 35 years old, while in Europe it's slightly younger, averaging in the late 20s to early 30s. So most of these gamers are casual players fitting in a few matches after work or school, and while gaming IQ isn't a concrete measure, we know this. The majority of players aren't analyzing game mechanics or corporate strategies, they're just here to have fun. And here lies the problem. Activision knows this. They know that most players won't question the lack of dedicated servers or the recycled maps. They know you won't care that new multiplayer maps are just points of interest ripped straight out of Warzone because the average player doesn't notice or doesn't think critically about it, right? And that's exactly what Activision preys on. They exploit the fact that most people play games to escape, not to think critically. Next up, we have fear of missing out, short FOMO. It is a concept that Activision has mastered, like limited time skins, exclusive battle passes, seasonal events. These things aren't just fun additions, they're psychological traps designed to make you spend. And it's not just about cosmetics. Activision has brilliantly tied their microtransactions into the progression system. You see that cool operator skin or weapon blueprint? Well, suddenly it feels like you need it to keep up with everyone else in your lobby. But here's the issue. You don't. It's all smoke and mirrors to get into your wallet. And now to something I haven't seen many people talk about, because we have to add the Game Pass into the mix. For the first time, Call of Duty is effectively free for millions of players. Well, almost free, right? You can either pay $70 up front for the game or $10 a month for the Game Pass. And on the surface, this seems like a great deal, but it's not. And you know why it's not a great deal? Subscriptions increase the likelihood of microtransaction spending. So it's a simple numbers game, guys. It's simple. More players in the ecosystem equals more revenue. And most people don't even realize that they're being played. Next up on the list, we have shadow bans, which is one of the most frustrating mechanics in modern Call of Duty. And if you've been reported for cheating or just for being better than someone, you might find yourself in lobbies full of hackers and toxic players. The problem is that shadow bans aren't there to protect the community. They're there to protect Activision's bottom line, or so to say, the protective bubble. I'm serious, think about it. Why outright ban someone when you can just shuffle them into shadow banned lobbies? If you are not sure if this person is cheating or not, the report system will do the rest for you. Because these people can still buy skins, battle passes, and other microtransactions, and banning them outright would cut off that revenue stream, and this is what Activision doesn't want. And if you have played Call of Duty in the golden era, right, let's be honest, Call of Duty hasn't innovated in years. The new multiplayer maps, well, they're just Warzone, point of interest, slapped into a small arena, and new weapons, it's like slight variations of what we had for over a decade, and yet every year Activision somehow convinces us that this time will be different with Omni movement and whatnot, and well, we all know it's not different. The reality is that cost cutting has become the backbone of Activision's strategy, because why invest in new content or better servers when you can just repackage the old stuff and call it new? And the sad part is, we let them get away with it. People buy the battle passes, people grind for the skins, people buy these blueprints, and people keep coming back, even though most of them know it's all a scam, right? Also, back in the day, Call of Duty had community forums, and developers actually listened to player feedback. If something was broken, it got fixed. If the community hated a feature, it was removed. There was a dialogue between players and developers that made us feel like we mattered. And you look at them now, and yeah, Activision gaslights us, they lie on social media, get called out by community notes, and act like nothing happened. And remember the blood visual bug in the last couple days that they talk about? They claimed it was a client-side issue, when it clearly wasn't. After a month, they addressed this issue and wrote this crap. Like, this is the level of transparency we're dealing with now. They don't care about us, they care about one thing: retention. As long as we keep playing, they keep winning. And to be honest, guys, I would have ended this video right here, but this morning I read something about two-boxing and that they apparently fixed or patched it. But for the people who don't know what it is, two-boxing is when players manipulate the skill-based matchmaking by using a second account or device to intentionally lower the matchmaking difficulty. And if you pair a low skill account with your main account, you essentially guarantee easier lobbies where you can dominate. And it's been a massive problem in Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and recently Activision patched it. But let's dig deeper on why they patched it. And you might think it's because of the protected skill bracket, you know, the newer or less skilled players who just want a safe space, maybe the people who are disabled. But no, that's not it. The truth is, Activision just doesn't care about those players, right? It's a minority. They just don't care about these people. They patched two-boxing because it started affecting the average players. And we all know that the average player is the majority of the player base. So let me break it down. If you're an average player with, say, a 0.89 KD, you're dying more often than you're making kills, on average. And for every player like you, there's someone with a zero point 0 KD or higher going positive in those lobbies. And this is where two-boxing comes in. Suddenly, even those average players were getting stomped on by these two-boxers. And that's a problem for Activision. And you might ask, why? Because the average players are their core audience. These are the players who spend money on battle passes, microtransactions, and skins. And if they get frustrated and leave, Activision loses its most valuable customers. So, it's not about fairness or protecting low-skill players, it's about player retention. Activision saw the risk to their bottom line and acted very fast. But let's take a step back. Why was this fixed before more pressing issues? Really, think about it. The game still has laggy servers, rampant hackers, and a matchmaking system that feels broken half the time. Yet two boxing was a top priority. Why? Because it threatened the carefully crafted illusion of skill-based matchmaking. Skill-based matchmaking exists to shield the bubble of average players who are the most likely to stay engaged and keep spending. And Activision will move mountains to protect these players, but not because they care, it's because these players are the most profitable demographic. Hackers? They'll shadow ban them and let them keep buying skins. Servers? Well, those can wait, but two boxing? That disrupts the bubble, and for Activision, that is unacceptable. And now to the ultimate question, why Call of Duty will never die. It is simple. They've built a machine that's too big to fail, right? Nostalgia keeps the old players coming back, including me. Fear of missing out traps the new ones, and the average player, well, blissfully unaware of the bigger picture, keeps the whole thing running year after year. And if you ask me, guys, and I'm being really honest, Call of Duty does not deserve to survive in its current state, and it does not deserve to survive in the future, because the only way things will change is if we, as a community, demand better. That means better servers, better communication, better games. And until that happens, nothing will ever change. So here we are. I had to get all of this off my chest because it feels like no one is talking about it enough. No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot of people raising concerns out there, but yeah, Call of Duty might be one franchise, but its influence on the gaming industry is massive. Like, these guys are big, and what Activision has done, turning a once beloved series into a soulless cash grab, as I would say, should concern everyone who cares about gaming. Like, literally, I'm talking about the gamers, not the average players, because you guys are not gamers. Like, the reality is that Call of Duty will probably never die because it's too big, too embedded in gaming culture, and too profitable for that, because millions of players will keep buying every new installment, even as the games become more recycled, more broken, and more exploitative. And that's the scariest part, because other companies see this success and they want it too. And they see how Activision has perfected the art of monetizing players, and they're starting to copy it. Because think about the ripple effect it creates. We've already seen similar tactics in franchises like FIFA, NBA 2K, even newer games like Diablo 4. Microtransactions, pay-to-win mechanics, battle passes, it's everywhere now. And why? Because it works. Activision has proven that you don't need to make great games to make billions. You just need to manipulate players well enough that they keep spending. And honestly, that terrifies me because I love gaming. I love the stories, the creativity, the sense of community that games can bring. But this trend, the corporatization of gaming and the focus on profits over players, feels like it's stripping away the soul of the medium. If companies like Activision set the standard for what's successful, then the future of gaming looks very bad. Like, let me tell you, we are doomed. But I don't want to come across as hopeless, though. There's still good out there. Indie developers are creating incredible games. Some studios still prioritize quality over quick profits. And there's always the chance that players as a collective can push back. And by being vocal, by refusing to support exploitative practices, and by demanding better, we can still make a difference. But it starts with conversations and videos like this, because we need to talk about what's happening, not just with Call of Duty, but across the entire gaming industry. We need to hold companies accountable to stop accepting mediocrity and to push for a future where gaming isn't just about revenue streams and retention rates. So yeah, Call of Duty will probably never die, but what kind of gaming industry do we want to live in? That's the question we need to start asking, and that's why I made this video. Not to rant for the sake of ranting, but because I care. I care about gaming, about the people who play these games, and about what this industry could be if it prioritized passion over profits. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think there's hope for gaming, or is this just the new normal? Either way, I'll keep speaking up because this is a conversation we need to have. And who knows, maybe if enough of us start calling for change, the industry might actually start to listen. Until next time, guys, take care and keep fighting for the games that you love.